On this episode of Star Wars Time Show, Nick and I are going to be talking about all of the new figure reveals from SDCC 19. We've got the cost of the Mandalorian production. We've got Resistance getting Emmy and Saturn nominations. Woohoo! We told you the show was good. We know what the TIE Dagger looks like now. We may know what the hell is going on with Kylo and the Knights of Ren finally, thanks to a new comic. And of course, it wouldn't be the new Monday show of Star Wars Time Show without the top 5 Instagram artists of the week. Cue the music, maestro. All right, welcome back. And yes, as the announcer said, this is now the Monday show, which used to be the Friday show, but now we do it on Mondays. Why? Who knows? It just go with us. But we welcome you all back to the Star Wars Time Show, your favorite Star Wars podcast. Because why? Well, we are awesome. And you guys are awesome, too, for listening. So there you go. It's kind of a 2-for-1 deal. So as you heard, it's an action-packed show. And Nick and I are like, hey, if we do shows on Monday, you never know. We'll probably still have the same amount of stuff to talk about. And then what do you know? The weekend goes through and we have 5,000 things to mention from the Star Wars verse. So, Nick, the first thing we want to talk about, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on this because, you know what, a lot of people that listen know about these reveals. They probably already bought them, mortgaged their youngest to buy all these new toys coming out of SDCC. But we did get a look at some pretty cool looking collectibles last week, starting with a new Darth Maul Hot Toys. And Hot Toys, again, these are the 1/6 scale, the Barbie size. But they're releasing a Solo style Darth Maul.
This was really cool because Solo style Darth Maul is obviously what Lucasfilm and Disney had in store for Darth Maul moving forward with the Star Wars franchise. Obviously, we've gone over the Solo kind of deal a ton on this podcast, so we won't dive into it again. But, you know, one of the signatures of the Solo style Maul was the new look to his lightsaber. And then also, you know, people may have noticed that Maul's face got a little bit chubbier over the years. You know, he's been eating a little bit more since he's the head of a crime syndicate.
Ray Park hitting up the Krispy Kreme in between training.
Oh, yeah, you know. Maul's got himself a nice little empire now, so he's not, like, surviving in a garbage pile.
He's a fat cat running the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
But, dude, this figure, I'm not going to lie. I mean, someone that collects this scale just recently got into it. I had, a few months ago, placed a pre-order for EP1 Maul because I didn't have one. So, you know, he looks a little more trim and fit. But I see this come out, and this happens to any collector. You just go, fuck. Now, do I need 2 Mauls? Do I need 2 Mauls? Am I going to get them? Do I need them? Do I have to have them? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And he's a good-looking figure. I mean, I love the cloth on him, the soft goods, as they call it in the industry. It's a cool looking tunic, robe, whatever you want to call it. We can actually get the full shot of it now, which we didn't get in Solo. So good looking figure. It's going to cost you. I don't know if he's up yet. Probably is, but I would imagine this guy's approaching $300, and he's dropping a while from now. I believe late 2020, something like that, 2021. But we've got some images out on the site. Go check them out. Another new reveal from SDCC, and this one was directly from the show, Nick. And when we were at Celebration, we saw the Darth Vader version of a figure that's this new line from Hasbro, which is the Hyper Real line. And now we see that a Bespin Luke is coming.
Yeah, CLS for those of us who play Swago, and
that's him.
This is a fantastic figure. Like you said, this is kind of showing off the Bespin style Luke. Got the blue lightsaber, got the utility belt, and really what stands out about the hyperreal figures from Hasbro is the face sculpt and the you know, the detail within the face and the other, you know, parts of the body.
I'm not gonna lie here, dude. There's something off with this face.
Cartoony,
as is.
right?
Right.
It feels
right, yeah.
like it looks good. Like when you look at the face, you're like, oh man, it looks good, but it doesn't look like they say. It doesn't look hyper real. It doesn't look like I'm looking at a 1984 version of Mark Hamill here. You know, it looks like I'm looking.
You're looking at like anime Hamill or something.
Yeah,
like that.
You know. So while it still looks good, I think that they could get away with like a hyper real Vader because there's no human features on Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Like you're just looking at a dude in a suit. With Luke, you really do get to see like the visage of a human being, and what really comes through is that it's like cartoonized a little bit. It's
a shame because everything else is damn near perfect. I mean, it's going to have something like 28 points of articulation for toy photographers out there, or just people that like to pose them. 13 accessories, figure stand, different types of hands, this, that, and the other thing. So, I don't know. I mean, let's be real. I fucking pre-ordered it, Nick. I mean, like I wouldn't pre-order it. I mean, these are the $80 ones too, people. These aren't the cheapo $20 Black Series. These are the Cadillac or the Mercedes Black Series, if you will, the Bentleys. Who knows? Maybe the face will slightly change on final release, which it's still almost a year away. I think it's
May 4th.
Tentative date Hasbro have is May the 4th of 2020. So. Who knows? I'll get them. And if we're still around, if Nick and I are still doing our thing, I'm sure we'll talk about them and maybe even get a review up on the YouTube channel. You never know. Moving right along with the figures, we also got to look at what many people are considering to be the best yet Star Wars The Black Series premium helmet. And that's because, Nick, it is none other than Boba Fett.
Mr. Fett. I mean, we've seen a lot of the Black Series helmets before. One of my friends has the Black Series Kylo helmet that has the voice changer included and everything like that. But this looks like almost movie prop level. I mean, if you look at this helmet, just from the pictures that we see here, it looks like they just took it directly off of Jeremy Bulloch's head and then took a picture of it for this release. I mean, the thing looks...
Give it to me, Jeremy!
This thing looks fucking fantastic. And then, if you go through all of the different, features within it and how they build these helmets to kind of not just be a showpiece, but also be like a functional piece of, of wear.
To me, I mean, a lot of these, and I believe I think last year's Black Series helmet was Vader's, and I heard that was also exquisite. But as you hit on there, Nick, I believe they are kind of angling these towards cosplayers now. I know there are people that just collect this line too, but as you said, they're becoming very costume accurate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
this even has a working targeting meter. Like as soon as that thing flips down, a little targeting comes up, and we never really saw Boba use it in movie or on screen. But yeah, it just is this something? You not being a collector, is this something that moves your little meter more than an action figure?
Actually, like if I was going to
or you just don't give a shit, you don't care about any collectible, like Star Wars stuff at least.
If I was going to collect, it would probably be the helmets. Like if I would get all of, like I would get the Kylo, I would get the Boba, I would get the Vader, and then like any of the helmets that they released, the Stormtrooper, the Clone Trooper, the First Order Troopers, because those to me look fucking sweet and they're big showpieces. Right. So like if I line those up on a shelf or on a bookshelf, people will be like, holy shit, these look awesome. Whereas with the smaller figures, the 1/6 scale, the 3.75 inch, like they're harder to see, and like people kind of have to get up close, and then you have to explain to them. Like if you have...
But you don't think it's weird if you're almost 40 and you have action figures in a glass case on display?
I don't know if it's weird. Everybody has their own little things that they collect, right?
I know what you're saying, though. Yeah, you can be like, oh, yeah, man, that shit's fucking movie worn, yo.
Yeah.
That's screen worn. People are like, wow, this Nick guy, he's a player.
Yeah, nobody would ever know either. I'd be like, yeah, it's straight from Empire set.
They go to Matt's house and they walk away. They're like, yo, man, do you see how excited he gets when he's talking about those fucking Star Wars Barbie dolls? I mean, they're literally Barbie dolls. What's wrong with him?
It could be a little weird. Yeah. But
now, yeah, I kind of pegged you. There really is, in my mind, really with any fandom, but in particular Star Wars, there's 3 types of collecting. There's the props, which this would fall into. Props, costumes, whatever, shit on set. There's the art, which could be official posters, fan art, official art, concept art. And then there are like the licensed goods, in particular figures.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of in
Star Wars, it's, you got your prop collectors, your figure collectors, and your art collectors.
So at Celebration, actually, I don't know if I showed you this when we were there, but on the last, you had already gone. So Taylor and I went to my girlfriend to the show floor on our last day, and we actually bought a Star Wars art piece, like from the art gallery. So we're gonna hang that up in our house. I already have some prop lightsabers, so I have the official Disney Parks Kylo, and I have a custom saber from Saber Forge. So I'm definitely more in like the props art kind of collection.
Good. See, I'm just trying to get him addicted to something that's going to tap his monetary funds, like I've done to myself my entire life.
Yeah. So I'm I could see myself getting into like the official poster collecting, some like really nice fan art. Like when we say, when we go through the top 5 and we say like, I would love to have this as an art piece on my wall. Like I'm not fucking around. If some of these people, if some of these Instagram artists were to start selling prints, I would be a buyer. Like you would see my name come through on the fucking Square charge.
Oh yeah, I would be the guy sitting there saying, "Just send it to us for free."
Yeah, we'll take it for free too. Like if you want a little bit more exposure, you want to, have us put it up and review it.
Grease the wheels, people. Grease the wheels. Ask everything Kylo. He knows what to do. And Sir Dork, they're all over it.
They're
eye for an eye, tit for tat. That's how we roll at SWT. So yeah, this helmet's out there again. This is same release windows at Hyperreal Luke. So you're talking probably May the 4th-ish, 2020. And if you ever see a guy in Austin wearing one, walking around looking kind of crazy, it just may be Nick.
Could be me.
All right, we still have more new figures coming out here, and these ones, I don't know what to think about them yet. I love the series they're based on. I don't know about the figures, but it was revealed over the weekend that Hasbro is also launching a line of 5-inch figures, so not quite 1/12 scale or 3.75 inch, but they're going to be based on Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures, which, if you follow the site, StarWarsTime.net, or listen to the cast, Nick and I both love the series. It's one of the best short retellings of iconic Star Wars moments you'll ever see. They're just fantastic from top to bottom, but now they're getting a figure line, and just like the show, the figures too are styled. So Nick, just someone that doesn't collect figures, what was your first reaction to these Galaxy of Adventure figs? I mean, you're like, a little too cartoony, or I could kind of get into that.
So, I mean, one of the things that I really enjoy about Galaxy of Adventures in general is the art style, the animation style. And I think they actually did a really good job of capturing that with these figures, especially the Chewie. The Chewie looks fucking fantastic.
I agree.
So I like it. I like what they're going for here, but is Galaxy of Adventures, I don't know. I mean, is it popular enough to have its own toy line?
Yeah. I mean, being in the space, I would imagine these got a very
tepid.
Or they got probably minimal. Yeah, very tepid. That's the word I was looking for, but I'm stupid, so thank you for that.
But yeah.
I don't really think, and I don't even think Hasbro cared that much, because out of all the big stuff they revealed, these aren't even available to pre-order or anything yet. I mean, you could get the Luke Hyperreal, the Boba Fett deal. I mean, obviously, the Darth Maul, he's not Hasbro, but I believe he's up already. But these, no, they're not available yet.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that these are marketed more towards, parents of young children. These will probably be available at most retailers where, like, the Hyperreal and the Black Series helmets really aren't going to be on as many shelves as these will. So if you if you're a mom or a dad and you don't know that much about Star Wars, but your kid's into it, and you walk down an aisle and you see these, you're like, oh man, these look different. These aren't the typical types of figures that you would see. So maybe they'll pick them up for younger kids or something like that.
I believe they already released a few of these, and they're kind of like in plastic tubes.
Okay, yeah, so it's...
But I could be wrong. I'm getting some of my shows crossed here, because I remember that Vader, but he wasn't stylized like this.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to shut the fuck up.
And these
Either
are
way,
pretty cheap, too, $9.99,
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, man. If I see these out in the wild and they look good in my hand, I'm probably going to snag a few, because they look posable. I mean, I can tell they've got at least knee joints, foot joints, elbow joints.
You could pop C-3PO's leg off, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's for a figure that size. I mean, I guess 5 inches damn near 1/12 scale anyways. But I don't know. I need to see one in the wild. I guess I'll reserve judgment until then. But I can tell you, whoever put the post out on StarWarsTime.net is a jerk off, because the featured image is awesome.
Cuts the head off.
Yeah, the way the image is cropped is fucking pro level blogging right there.
Oh yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
Go Matt Haywood. All right, so that kind of gets us through some of the new toys that were revealed for SDCC. I mean, quite frankly, Nick, SDCC was rather quiet for Star Wars in general. I mean, we know they had the Stormtrooper exhibit, so people finally got to see the Sith Trooper costume, screen worn in person, but that's about it. I mean, there is no news outside the toys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Moving on, something that I know you're excited about, I'm excited about, and I bet Bob Iger is excited about, especially when the fall comes around and they turn on the Disney Plus Switch, and that is The Mandalorian. And I think it was like a week or two ago, at least since we did our last cast, a report came out that is stating they now know how much the series costs and what Disney is investing in these long-form Star Wars live-action series. So... the report here, Nick, was saying that this thing's clocking in at 10 episodes at 150 million total.
Yeah.
So about 15 mil a piece. And as you put out here, we thought what HBO was doing with Game of Thrones was impressive. I mean, it doesn't even like touch it.
Yeah, exactly. Like Game of Thrones had a similar per episode cost, but if you remember the last season of Game of Thrones, that's for the last season, only season 8. The last season of Game of Thrones only had 6 episodes, so you're talking 90 mil for season 8, whereas Disney, like Matt said, is putting out 150 mil for season 1 of The Mandalorian. Like, that's $150 million is literally the budget of some comic book movies. Like, some big ass
you know
budget
what's
comic movies.
You know what's even crazier to think about, Nick? Is that for 150 million, they're going to produce what we figure is going to be at least 10 hours of story.
Yeah.
As you said, people spend that and more. I mean, one of the reasons Solo, people at Disney got all bent out of shape is because of the reshoots and the change in the directors. I think its budget ended up costing them over $200 million.
Yeah, it ballooned a lot as soon as they realized that, they were going to make a director change. I mean, here's what happens when shit like that happens. I mean, you still have to pay, Miller and Lord for their work, but you also have to pay Ron Howard for his work. Then you have to pay these actors extra to go in and refilm
to come back,
all this shit.
The studio space.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, doing what they did with Solo, I mean, no wonder they fucking hate it and they're never going to make the next movies because, I mean, they just were literally pissing money down the drain.
Oh, yeah.
With decisions that probably should have been worked out before they even started the project. But it's crazy to think that for 200 plus million, yeah, we can get a pretty cool movie. But 150 million, they're going to turn that into 10 hours. And I know it's still going to be on the same level of quality that you'd see in a Star Wars movie.
Oh, yeah, especially considering the directors that we're seeing here. I mean, Dave Filoni, Bryce Dallas Howard, Taika Waititi. I mean, there's a ton of great talent, not only behind the camera, but in front of the camera for the show. I mean, you have Pedro Pascal, who's famous for his role in Game of Thrones, but also did fantastic work in The Kingsman 2 and Sicario. Was he in? I think he was in Sicario.
I'll tell you what, that guy parlayed his turn on Game of Thrones like a pimp.
Yeah, he really, really made the most of it.
I mean, he, like you said, he got that big movie. I mean, I know he was a star in his own right before Game of Thrones, but in terms of like stardom, like American stardom, I mean, let's be real, our biggest export is Hollywood, entertainment. They're demigods over here.
Yeah.
I didn't know who the fuck he was until Game of Thrones.
Exactly. Like, unless you had seen something he had done prior. I mean, he was in Narcos, I believe, released right before his run started on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but I still think that was post Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember. I know they were around similar times, but like he was able to take that and really spin it into something fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And like, even if you look at, I mean, the other players around him, I mean, Carl Weathers, for people who grew up, in even my day, I mean, Matt, you're a little bit older than me, but like even in my day, like Carl Weathers was like a movie star. Apollo Creed, he was in Predator. I mean, like this dude was a fucking killer.
No, I mean, dude, back at Celebration, that was one of the best moments was having him come out on stage and do
the Apollo Creed,
his Apollo deal. I mean, he's fantastic. I'm so jazzed about The Mandalorian. I mean, I know 2019 is the year of Tross, but I mean, wow. What we are heading into, my friends, over the next 3 to 5 months is going to be pretty epic, I think, for Star Wars Nation. So I'm excited. Keep the money flowing, as you note in your article here. I mean, I'm sure they'll make that back within the first month of Disney Plus being live. So,
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I love that the show's getting a second season. I love we got a casting going. I love that they're thinking about another third live action. Keep it going. I mean, all the shit that they revealed on the Marvel wing of Disney Plus. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That is like no brainer. I mean, if you need to budget your streaming, and I get it, some people will have to, cut what you need to cut for Disney Plus.
Yeah, I mean, in my
This is not a
opinion,
paid
you have to
promotion.
cut out like
Yet.
Hulu. Just
My
get rid of
agent's
it.
on the phone with Bob's agent. We're trying to work shit out. All right, Nick, so moving on, we got a pretty cool story here because this is a show that you and I, obviously, we've dedicated podcasts to. We did YouTube series on, and that is Star Wars Resistance. And the reason we dedicate so much time to it is because, well, it's fucking good, right? I mean, it is a good show. But because it's new, it's from Disney, a lot of people kind of discount it. Well, last week we learned that not only did we really enjoy the show, but so did really smart people too, right? High art type of people, because it got an Emmy and a Saturn nomination, essentially for Best Children's Program. That was the Emmy, and then Outstanding Children's or I forget what the Saturn was called.
Best animated TV.
Yeah, Best Animated Series on TV. So those are pretty heavy nominations, and ones that I do believe this series deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime a series or any piece of media gets nominated for an Emmy, it's not like, oh, well, this is just good for kids or this is just good for these type of people. It means that it's an all-around fantastic piece of media, piece of art that was created by Disney or whoever else made it. I mean, we've been saying since day one that this show had a lot to offer. And yes, it may, like every TV series, it takes a couple episodes to get picking up. But once it does, like the back half, especially, you know, part 2 of season 1 of Resistance is strong as hell. We get to learn a lot about how the First Order built up its power without the, you know, the greater galaxy kind of realizing it. We got to see really good context into what was happening elsewhere in the galaxy when the First Order finally made its move against the Hosnian system that we saw in TFA. I mean, and not only that, but the characters that were developed and the characters that were brought in from the movies to kind of have cameos in this show really shined, and that's what I really like.
It's a bang up series, and hopefully now that it's getting this type of recognition, at least from the industry itself, maybe it'll convince fans to give it a try. I doubt it. I mean, we know there are those fans out there these days, Nick, where you couldn't do anything but basically just pump out more original trilogy movies over and over and over to make them happy. But I do urge those of you that kind of passed on this one or maybe took a flyer on it, wanted someone else to jump on the grenade, if you will. Nick and I have jumped on it. A lot of people have jumped on it. The grenade is well worth taking to the face. It is a really good show. I can't believe it. Feels like it's been off the air forever, but it's soon going to return here. I think September, October, season 2 is going to kick off. And when that happens, you know, our happy asses will be sitting here every week doing our little recap and Easter egg discussion for the series. So get on it. If you've been sleeping on it, it's well worth it. And now it is an Emmy and Saturn nominee.
Yeah, well worth it.
Yeah, so moving on here to more expanded universe type of content meant to flesh out the films, the live action series. But we got an announcement, Nick, that we're going to get a new Star Wars comic that's going to fill in some story that takes place in between TLJ and TROS.
Yeah, so we're going to have a comic series that kind of spins off of what's already out there from IDW Publishing, known as Star Wars Adventures. And essentially what they're going to do is they're going to put together a 3-part comic arc each month starting in October till December that's going to tell a story or a series of stories that's going to bridge the gap between what we see at the end of TLJ and where TROS picks up. Now, this series is really going to focus on 2 main groups of characters. So we're going to have Chewbacca and the adventures he kind of goes on to, in the beginning, save his people, go to Kashyyyk, save the Kashyykians and the Wookiees from the First Order incursion that's happening there. And we're also going to have a spinoff of that spinoff that's going to follow our droid characters. C-3PO, R2-D2, and BB-8 as they go on recruiting missions for the Resistance. The one good thing to point out here about this series is that it's not going to be like the Dark Horse series or like the Marvel series. That's
no, all you gotta do is look at the art, and you're like, yeah, I might pass on this. I mean, this to me, Nick, is probably better suited maybe for someone like me that has a younger Star Wars fan in the house.
Yeah.
And you want to share in some new story here. I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but as Nick says, it's definitely a little more sanitized and kid-friendly in terms of the types of visuals you're going to get in the content.
Yeah, you're not going to see Chewbacca ripping anybody's arms off or slamming people on their heads. Like, you're most likely this is going to be a very,
the old Force pile driver from Solo and Kessel.
Yeah.
I love that thing.
Beautiful. But you're not going to get that. This is a very kid-friendly. It's labeled as an all-ages comic. So all ages means that it's going to be friendly towards the younger fans, the even, pre-teenage fans of Star Wars. So you're not going to see pools of blood. You're not going to see, ridiculously violent lightsaber battles or, battlefield moments between the First Order and the Resistance. It's going to be kind of like Matt
We'll
said,
see porgs, though.
You're going to see porgs. You're going to see Chewie. You're going to see your favorite droids. And then you're going to see
sound is in my head forever.
That dude, the scene where the porg just like gets stuck to the window of the Falcon as it's turned like in TLJ, it was just ridiculous.
Oh, dude, I would take, you know how they're doing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
I want a series called Chewbacca and the Porg.
I think that they could do that. Might be what this turns out to be. Like, he may have just like porg companions the whole way, because the featured image we get, like if you look in the post, like one of the hero images that we get from this comic thread is literally it's Chewbacca coming out from behind bushes to take down these two First Order troopers, but you have this porg on his shoulder that's just like, woohoo, go get it,
he's sitting
Chewie.
there going,
oh man,
I can hear it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, if you're a tough guy and shit like that, and you're looking more for the Marvel comic edge, these probably aren't going to be for you. But it is going to tell a story. I would assume it may be canon-based. And, again, if you got little Star Wars fans around, this may be a great little thing to get into.
We might have to get Ryan the Intern on these, because Ryan the Intern is a big fan of the Star Wars comic line.
Oh, yeah. I think Ryan the Intern retired. I don't know what the hell happened to him. Or he's too lazy or something. But he's definitely MIA, so who knows? I mean, maybe I can get my 3-year-old to start doing reviews of these come October, because it looks like, you're going to get an issue a month from October to December of this year. So
you might. That would be a very cute YouTube series.
Yeah, I'll throw it in front of her and see what she does with it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
They'd probably be like, "What's this? Why?
Chewbacca, porg.
Why? That's where we're at right now. I think it came early, but I am knee deep in the why fest. Yeah. But I'm someone I was like, hey, I'll answer every fucking why.
Yeah, every Star Wars question you have, I'll give you.
Dude, it's everywhere, and I do the bet. Today, driving home is about the weather, and I literally went into it's because the Earth rotates around the sun, and it also rotates on its axis. So, during certain times of the year, the sun's hotter on certain sides of the planet, and this is why we have rain and shit like that. And she's like, why? I said, okay, well,
let's break that down even further.
Yeah, well,
physics.
There
laws
could
of
be
physics.
a heat wave coming from the South Pole and cold air coming from the North. But you get it. Why? So, anyways, moving on. We got another Star Wars book, and I always like to collect these when new movies coming out. But it looked like the front cover of The Rise of Skywalker, the visual dictionary, leaked or released. But on it, Nick, there was an image a lot of people latched onto because it was something new, something we haven't seen before. I don't even know if this has been rumored. It's definitely not the TIE Kylo was flying.
No, it was not for sure.
But we now know there's going to be a TIE dagger in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, so I don't think this leaked. I think the pre-order finally went up on Amazon.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It came out throughout SDCC. It got mixed up and all that stuff.
Yeah, so we see the front cover of the TROS visual dictionary, like Matt said, comes up for every movie. And with this one, we get a look at some of the new shit that we're going to see. Like we get to look at Rey's new outfit. She's on the cover. We get to look at Janna's energy bow. We get to look at Dio. But like Matt said, the two things that you really want to look at are, one, the TIE dagger, like Matt mentioned, this new First Order vessel fighter ship that we haven't heard or seen before. And we get a very big, prominent Knights of Ren figure with his vibro scythe blade pointed out as well. What's really interesting about the dagger, if we're going to talk about that one for a little bit, is the wing shape. So if
it's
anybody,
got fucking pizzas on it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a TIE fuselage with pizzas on the end, like Inception pizzas too.
yeah, it's pretty
It's
because
like
it's
a
got
little
like
pizza
triangles
on a
and then
pizza.
triangles inside of it. Yeah.
It's a TIE pizza.
So what I can't really tell because the scale of this is really hard to see because on the cover it's a very small piece of it. But I put in my write-up that from what I can see, the fuselage, the cockpit of this looks very small in comparison to how the cockpit compared to the wing size of like a regular TIE fighter.
Yeah, or maybe the fucking daggers or the wings, whatever they call them, are just massive.
Yeah. If it is like that though, like so this is like a piece of speculation I threw out there, and maybe I'll pass it by you, Matt, and see if you latch onto it. So my thinking was like, if these are normal size wings, if these wings are the size of like fighter wings, and that cockpit really is that small, could we be seeing the first remotely controlled vehicle, like almost like a drone in the Star Wars universe? The only time we've ever seen it before is in Clone Wars era when they had those autonomous fighters for the CIS.
Right.
But could this be
that's
a
a very
version of that?
I mean, honestly, that I wasn't even thinking you'd take it that way because, as you said, we haven't really seen drone-based or fully AI-controlled weaponry since the Clone Wars. I don't know, man. That's a very interesting take. Because I'm sitting there like, well, what's so special? What is the purpose of this?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
in the originals, we always knew that the different looking TIEs, TIE bombers, they were bombers. The TIE interceptors were kind of their speed stealth type of ships. Vader had his TIE Advance. It was custom built because he was a pimp. I don't know. I mean, what do these give you? I mean, are they quicker? Is this supposed to play on the interceptor? I don't know. I mean, Kylo's ship looks like a fucking TIE interceptor.
Yeah.
The one we've seen in the trailer. So
I think it would be. I mean, I think if the First Order is going in this direction of like, galaxy-wide dominance and oppression, then like having a vehicle like this that doesn't rely on human lives or, beings to function within it. Like if you lose a regular TIE fighter, a regular First Order TIE fighter, you lose the vehicle and you lose the person. With this, if a dagger gets blown up and it is autonomously kind of running, if it is an AI controlled ship, you just lose the ship. You don't worry about the manpower.
They definitely look like they could be kamikaze style.
Yeah, and
just fly a wave of drones into a frigate or something.
Yeah, and I mean we already know that the First Order, through the means of basically husking out a planet, has almost unlimited resources to build shit like this. So I thought that would be cool. Probably not going to happen, but I mean,
honestly, dude, let's be real. It's probably going to be in a fucking half a second scene during, a space battle. And that's about it. They're just they're like, oh yeah, hey, can we make a new ship? Fuck it. All right, cool. Yeah, let's take a TIE fighter and fold its wings diagonally and just basically make it a pizza.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, we know that every Star Wars movie starts in space, so this will probably be like the one First Order ship that just like flashes
buzz over for 2 seconds.
Yeah, and that's
There's the dagger. Fuck. Matt and Nick were so right.
We'll see. But I think it could be.
How about that Knight of Ren right there, man? I
know.
I love these guys. You really can't tell where. I mean, do you think? I guess Kylo kind of set the tone for their dress code too. I mean, if he is the leader of the Knights of Ren, but I mean, this guy looks like he is a dude that would follow Kylo Ren.
Oh yeah, I mean he's got the mask that's kind of shaped after Kylo.
Oh
All of
yeah,
their masks look
yeah.
vaguely samurai, you know, and just the clothing style, the wrist guards on them, and then even that weapon looks so medieval. Like
Right,
the
and it is a vibro sight, and we have known in the past that anything vibro in Star Wars land means it can block lightsaber blows.
yeah, it can fight up to lightsabers, so don't
Right,
worry about
so
that.
yeah, I mean it might just look like some cheap ass scythe, but no, this thing's probably gonna have some electricity wrapped around it when he's fighting here. So, speak of a good segue here, let's move into the next topic, which is all about the Knights of Ren. And this one probably was the most exciting thing to me, Nick, that came out of SDCC, and that's the revelation that we are going to get a comic book series, but from Charles Soule or Soule, I don't know how it's pronounced there, but it's going to be a 4-issue comic book miniseries coming in December that will detail the rise of Kylo Ren. It's basically, here's how Charles summed it up. You know the one story everyone's dying to see about Kylo and the Knights of Ren? That's this. You're not ready? Hell, I barely am. And I'm just like, fuck yes.
It's about time we get this. I can see why they waited. I can see why this is coming out now, because as the movies have played out, we didn't really get to the Knights of Ren until now. But, I mean, everybody wants to know. The Knights of Ren, the leader of the Knights of Ren, as he was dubbed by Snoke and TFA, and you know this whole story behind not only the fall of Ben Solo, but the rise of Kylo Ren, as Charles Soule has put it. That is what everybody wants to know about this new sequel series. Yes, people want to know about Rey's background, her parentage, and stuff like that, but people want to know, like, how did Kylo Ren become this force within the galaxy? And if that's really what's going to be, you know, discovered and uncovered here in this comic thread, this 4-issue arc, then I'm all about it. Like, this is what I was hoping that we would get a little bit of in the movies, but if it's going to be in comic form, like, I'll dive right in.
Yeah, when you think about it, they could have never dedicated any serious time into introducing this part of Kylo's life, so it's probably always going to have to live in something like the comics or hell, these days live action, that's a pipe dream. I don't think outside of some secondary characters anyone's getting live action from the Skywalker saga. Yeah. And that even means old Ben, as much as that hurts me, but you never know. I mean, do you think this is going to pick up right from the fall of Luke's Academy, or is it going to be a little bit into Kylo's full-on turn, or Ben's full-on turn? I mean, I guess issue 1, do we see Ben assume the title of Kylo Ren, that type of stuff? Or are the Knights of Ren already formed and we're just going to get a deeper look at what that means, what they do, who they are?
Yeah, I feel like with a 4-issue miniseries, it's probably not going to go back as far as the Academy, because you are covering a lot of time there. So it could be that we already see Kylo as a person. You know, he's no longer Ben Solo. He's going by Kylo Ren, and he's essentially, you know, he could be recruiting these members of the Knights of Ren. He could be just putting together the organization. What I'm hoping is that if it doesn't start at the fall of the Academy, that there's flashbacks to that, because I really do want to like see from there, like see how Ben Solo became Kylo Ren, not just how Kylo Ren became the leader of the Knights of Ren. But it seems like, I don't know how long these threads are going to be, how long these 4 issues are going to be, but it seems like if you're only going to have 4 issues, then it's likely going to be just the story of the Knights of Ren and how they came together.
Got ya. So maybe just see them gallivanting around and fucking shit up to impress Snoke or something.
Yeah, I mean, it could be cool if there's like, because there was always the assumption that the Knights of Ren came from Kylo's compatriots at the Academy, that he essentially turns to the dark side. And if that's the story, it would be very interesting to see at least cuts of that time period when they were all kids still at the Academy, and how not only his fall, Kylo's fall happened, but how the other members of this group fell. You know, what was their life like? What was their time at the
that's
academy like?
I would like to get almost a full-on origin story of how it came to be, who's under the mask. But I think you're probably on the right track, where they're already going to be established as the Knights of Ren. There'll probably already be mysterious identities. They may not even use their actual name, just like how Ben assumed Kylo. And that may be in an effort to maybe keep some surprises for Tross.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think this is coming out now, Nick, as you said, to fill in a lot of this Knights of Ren story that we've never really seen outside of a flashback in TFA. And I think that's to kind of give the non-Star Wars nuts, we're the nuts, but to kind of give them a little bit of insights into who these Knights of Ren are, because it does sound like they're going to get a decent amount of time in the story of Tross.
Yeah, I would hope so. So I think this is a fantastic way to
I will read this one. This is one that I feel like I can't even just blow over, because I do think it is so core and fundamentally important to the sequel trilogy. I mean, that's how I do think the Knights of Ren are going to provide at least one big aha moment in Tross, in terms of maybe they're linked to Sidious, Palpatine, whatever the fuck we want to call them these days. Or maybe they push Kylo, or Kylo pushes them away. Who knows? But I think they're going to play some sort of big role, a MacGuffin themselves in Tross. Who knows? So I do appreciate this comic run coming out, but I think it was all by design.
Yeah, I agree. So lots of good stuff here. I'm definitely going to pick it up as well. I mean, a 4-issue arc is not much for me to read. So that's good. I know that Matt and I are not the best readers of the groups. We lose out on a little bit of content here because of the novels and stuff like that, because we're lazy fuckers and we can't read a book. But you
have to wonder if it's going to be a typical comic release, to where it comes out in December and then it extends for the next 3 months, or if it's going to be a weekly 4-parter, or if it just all drops at once. So
yeah, they just put out the whole deal.
Right. I mean, it's a full-on 4-issue Marvel miniseries. You'd think if they were going the avenue that I was talking about and kind of priming people for Tross, it would be all out at once. But you never know. I mean, most of the Marvel comics are the first or second Wednesday of the month is when new comics typically come out.
Yeah. What I'm really interested to see about the Knights of Ren is how some of these guys use the weapons that they're holding. Because, if you look at one of the pictures, they got the dude on the back, not all the way on the back, right? Not the guy who's holding the gun. The guy right next to him looks like he's holding a mop. I don't know what the fuck it is.
He's like the Toxic Avenger, man. He's here to fuck people up.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see how these weapons are used, because they're very...
He's holding a mop. There's our one buddy who's holding a vibro sight.
Yeah, the vibro sword. He's right on
the
Kylo's
one, that's
weapon.
the axe from Dryden Voss's deal.
Yep.
The one guy, I don't know if that's Mop Guy, but you could also argue he looks like he's holding the neck of a guitar, sort of. There's little knobs up there.
Yeah.
You got to like the dude with just a straight blaster. I mean, he's
fuck
just
it. I just got a gun.
Then there's a guy that literally chopped his arm off and replaced it. He's like Barrett from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, he's just got a full-on arm cannon. So,
look, I mean, they all have got the very similar helmet to their buddy.
Yep.
Oh, look at this shit, Nick. Look at Kylo's helmet.
Yeah, this is the cracked helmet.
So, wow.
This is now. This is not old.
So this could be implying that maybe in between TLJ and Tross, Kylo really kind of incorporated the Knights of Ren into his leadership of the First Order.
Yeah,
wow.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, that changes everything we just speculated on.
Yeah, I know. That one image, the cracked helmet.
I guess I should pay closer attention to details, but I mean, that's his cracked fucking helmet. So to me, this was official art that Star Wars dropped to announce this. It's on the cover of the miniseries. So yeah, dude, I mean, but it still plays into what we were saying with this is coming out on purpose to kind of build up this some Knights of Ren lore, and now it makes even more sense. I mean, maybe the rise of Kylo and Knights of Ren is literally going to show what Kylo was up to over this 18-month time period between TLJ and Tross with his buddies from the Knights of Ren.
I mean, if you think about it, at the end of TLJ, like he assumes leadership of the First Order, but he isn't really the leader yet. Like his rise is to where he is when we start Tross, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
okay,
good catch.
There we go. Fucking sleuthy motherfucker just takes me about 4 or 5 days
It's just
to pick up the details.
Yeah, you know, I've only been staring at it a little bit, so
right.
Yeah,
I'm sitting there like, oh, this is my favorite thing from SDCC, and I completely missed the boat on it. Good job, dude. Way to speculate the wrong thing.
We got there
and then
eventually.
Figure it out at the very end. All right, so talk about speculation. We got a great little story from Kevin Smith. Which, by the way, Nick, I don't know if you caught the Red Band trailer for Jay and Silent Bob reboot, but it looks like fantastic lowbrow humor, my favorite type.
I bought my roadshow tickets already.
There you go.
So they're going to be in Austin November 1st, so I got my roadshow tickets for Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Actually, the last time Kevin went on tour, when he went for Red State, I had that one too, and I was in New Orleans for that, so...
Yeah, no, I've always been a big fan of Kevin Smith. I think I was a fan of his movies first before I realized how big of a geek he is with some of the stuff we get into. I mean, obviously he loves Star Wars. I'd say his favorite stuff is definitely comics, probably DC. I mean, he calls himself Fat Man.
Oh, Batman.
Yeah, so, all right. We know him and JJ are buddies. I mean, he's buddies with all these guys making Star Wars movies. I mean, he went to the TFA set, he went to the TLJ set, and now he's been to the Tross set. So he was kind of recanting a story from the Tross set to IGN, where apparently he was there on a day where they were shooting the film's final scene. And the way this scene was described to him, Nick, was basically the cast and crew was like, dude, wait till you see this shit. It is going to blow your mind. So here is the exact quote here. So Smith talking to IGN. The crew were like, you have to see this set. And when you see it, it'll melt your mind. But he didn't get to see it. JJ kind of filled him in like, hey, dude, trust me, as a Star Wars fan, guy making this, you don't want to spoil this today. You want to save this moment with this final shot. This final scene is going to be for the theater. So, like I said, JJ, you don't want it spoiled. You want to be in the theater when this happens. Trust me.
That's crazy.
Right. Of course, Kevin Smith passed on it. I mean, he's not an idiot. He's probably a fan first, a director second. He didn't want to abuse his directorial privileges, per se. But, dude, so what the hell do you think the final shot of Tross could be that the director himself is urging people that had a chance to maybe see it get filmed or just the set, basically telling them, trust me, if I could take it all back, if I didn't write it, I would want to see this fresh in a theater for the first time.
I mean, it's so hard to try to imagine that because, like, I don't imagine that the last scene is happening on the Death Star husk. Like, it can't be there because we've already seen it. We already know what it is.
I mean, the way it's explained, like, this is the final scene, final shot, fade to black type of shit.
Like,
here's the only thing I could think of that it's going to be mind melting, and this may even be too lame. I mean, it could be a callback to Jedi where she looks out and she sees fucking Anakin, Luke, Ben, other Ben.
Yeah.
Yoda. Fuck, Qui-Gon shows up. Mace Windu. They're all back, right? They said they want to tie the prequels in. You know, they found Mace's ghost hanging out in the slums of Coruscant.
Dude, you know what would be... I mean, this would never happen. It would never happen. But you know what would be dope? Is we get to the end. We get a cut. We get a 5-year jump. And this never happens in Star Wars, so it's never going to happen. But, like, when you were saying this, like, your piece about all these Jedi showing up, we jump to the future, and Rey is now setting up an academy. And she walks into what's going to be the Jedi Council chambers. And then all of those people you said are filling the seats. They're
like appreciating what she's accomplished. Like they're not like the masters. They're there just kind of in spirit. Like, look, the good side finally fucking figured out how to pull their heads out of their asses.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was all because of this girl right here.
Like you see,
all right, I like that. It's a lot better than mine. I mean, I was still imagining them up in the trees of Endor hanging out with the Ewoks, and she's leaning on something, with the fire glow on her face, and she sees all her Jedi people hanging out.
Dude,
yeah, no, that'd be pretty cool. A little flash forward to Rey's new academy, and Anakin's looking on and approval. Yoda, Luke. Yeah. Obi-Wan and maybe dead Kylo.
Yeah, exactly. Like all of these.
The only other thing, if we're getting into flash forwards and Kylo doesn't, or Ben doesn't sacrifice himself, or Rey doesn't sacrifice herself, what if they fast forward and you see the new Solo family?
Yeah. I mean, dude, that would be fucking, again, like.
I still don't think Reylo's ever going to happen, but I mean, when they use terms like it's going to melt your mind, it's got to be pretty shocking, even more shocking than just like, oh, hey, all the old Force ghosts are back.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be something that like nobody would ever think of. Like nobody.
What if it's revealed? Like the last shot is a test tube in Palpatine's chamber, and it did have Rey's name on it, and she overcame all of that. She literally was a spawn of Sidious and still was a good person.
Yeah.
That type of mind melter. I don't know. That's why I put this out there. I mean, in the end, it's kind of a know-nothing story, but when you got the director and a super fan and a director himself basically saying the way this thing was set up was it's going to shock the core of longtime Star Wars fans' brains, hearts, souls.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't think it would ever happen, but like we know that Palpatine is somehow now able to essence transfer. So like say you get to the end of the movie, this whole thing goes down like it's been described, the sacrifice from Kylo, you think that Palpatine is now snuffed out of the galaxy, and then, you have Rey is sitting there touching the body of Kylo. He's dead. Oh my God, he sacrificed himself for the greater good. You walk off. You see the Rey walk off, and then there's like a zoom in on her eye, and it turns the Sith colors.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. I love it, but it ain't going to happen because they said this is it. Like,
yeah,
no way they would leave.
I know, you can't
that
leave it
type
open.
of a cliffhanger. Would I want it as a fan? Fuck yeah. I would take another trilogy with these characters and build on the stories. It doesn't sound like we're ever going to get that. Maybe, 20, 30 years from now when Disney sells it to New Disney for $80 billion.
Yeah.
They'll do it. But, oh, yeah, I mean, that would be fantastic. But it's got to be something that melts your mind, but melts it in a way where there's still closure on the core Skywalker saga tale.
Yeah, exactly. So it can't be anything like Palpatine's still here. It can't be like anybody is still around.
Right. Like everything, the conundrum's been solved. It's got to be kind of future looking, end on a very high note, I think. As in, all right, we've accomplished this 9-movie arc, this 9-story arc with all these characters. They all came together to get it done. Here's the big hoo-ah, and it's just escaping me what the hoo-ah is. I don't know.
It's just going to be all the Force ghosts come together like Voltron and fucking
slash
down.
They start fucking singing, and then it turns into a Broadway spectacle.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I trust Kevin Smith. I trust JJ clearly, and I just really like the story that Smith told because that's the type of stuff I love to hear because you get nothing, but you can allow your mind to just start going nuts. Like, what the hell could this mean? It's going to melt your mind, and I would say that's exactly how I want the last Skywalker movie to end. I want it to stun me really throughout, but I want the ending to make my jaw drop and literally just go, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah,
whoa,
exactly.
whoa,
like I physically cannot get up from my seat.
What?
Like I have to just...
That's how it ended? Holy shit, yes. I can't wait to come back and then the next few hours and watch my second, my third, and my fourth. So
yeah.
I'm probably going to do an opening weekend tripler for this one, I think.
Yeah, I know. It almost calls for it.
I'm
it's
definitely going to
necessary.
do early night, next day, maybe take a break, and then do like a Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. So
I think Tross is going to be a tripler.
yeah, it's a lot to look forward to. I mean, I don't, and the thing is like, even though Kevin's put something like this out here, and I trust Kevin implicitly with his opinions on Star Wars. Like, I don't think it's like, I still don't think we're in overhype land yet. Like, he's not like, oh my God, it's gonna be like, because he
didn't even see it. I mean,
No,
all
he
he did was say, "Listen, I was on set. They were shooting the final scene. It sounded like it was going to be so damn epic that they did me a service by telling me not to watch."
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really like, I'm excited, but I'm like healthy excited for where this is going. I really can't wait. Like, now it's just like, what the fuck can it be? It's just gonna be like 7 months of me sitting here, or like 5 months of me sitting here, like, what the fuck's gonna happen?
Yeah, it's
like,
weird. I mean, there is this is a movie where I think there's going to be a decent amount of people going in with low expectations or distrust, and that's not going to be me. I'm going in expecting the world, and I think it's going to pay off. I really do not think I'm going to walk out of Tross disappointed in the least.
Neither do I.
I mean, I didn't walk out of TLJ disappointed. I remember when I walked out and I hit up Nick, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I don't know." I mean, and I was devastated. I was like, "What? What was I on? Did I take the wrong drugs or something? I mean, was he not on drugs? Do you have to be on drugs to like this?" But no, I enjoyed it, and I think Tross is going to blow it out of the pond. I mean, I think when it's all said and done, TLJ is going to be the least best. I'm not going to say the worst. The least best of the sequel trilogy, and I hope Tross takes number one. But
yeah,
if TFA remains number one, that's all right, because it's a pretty swell movie to bring back Star Wars to the big screen. All right, dude. So we kind of worked our way through all of the Star Wars news topics, toy topics, this, that, and the other thing. So it's that time of the cast to sit down around the fire and talk about our friends on Instagram. And those friends, those are our Star Wars artists, like Everything Kylo, who, by the way, is shipping me my Disney's Galaxy's Edge theme park exclusive figures. Thank you, my friend. Sir Dork, who is super fan 1.5, for talking about us on his videos, making crazy ass fiery infused toy photography. But yeah, I mean, we love you guys. We love this community. You guys have shown us that you are enjoying us as well. We keep growing. I think we're probably going to hit 1,000 followers on IG probably within another week and a half, if that. And that's because of you guys and girls, and just enjoying what we enjoy, and that's other Star Wars fans sharing their passion for the franchise through artistic means.
Yeah.
All right. So I lay them up throughout the week. I go through Instagram. I'm looking at the Star Wars Time Show hashtag. I'm looking for people that physically tagged us. And I'm just looking for Star Wars art in general, toy pics or traditional art. I lay them down. Nick lines up the top 5. And that's exactly what he did for last week, which, again, we're kind of transitioning from Friday to Mondays. We're talking about the week of 7/12 ending 7/19. All right, Nick, so let's go ahead and get into your choices for the top 5.
Yeah, so number 1 here, first up on the list, and again, these aren't in any particular order. It's not like the first one we go through is the best and then the last one's number 5. No, these are just all picked out, and I just dropped them in the post. So first up, we have a beautiful, beautiful mashing of 2 figures, like you put it here, Matt, by Dork Lord Collectibles, at Dork Lord Collectibles on Instagram.
I don't even know how this is achieved, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with the inspiration for this shot.
Yeah.
This is almost, it looks like a still from Star Wars Rebels when Vader fights Ahsoka and she cracks his mask.
She cracks the mask off, yeah. And she
what I can't even fucking comprehend here is how Dork Lord somehow composed this shot using the Hot Toys Anakin figure and the Hot Toys Vader figure. I mean, clearly there's some intense digital manipulation going on here.
But you can't even tell.
Like, dude, it's fucking next level mind-boggling. Like, this to me is, master level. It's almost like animation or VFX work. It's not even like this is Photoshop. I mean, I'm so fucking dumb. I don't even know how to figure out layers and mask in Photoshop. And here you got Dork Lord somehow making it look like Hot Toys made a fucking figure of Darth Vader from Star Wars Rebels when he got his mask cracked.
Yeah, I mean, this is like
this looks like a real figure. I mean, this doesn't look mashed.
No, yeah, it doesn't. Like when I saw you, when I saw your caption saying it was a mashup of two figures, I was like, holy fuck! Like I couldn't tell. Like I look at this, there's no seam, there's no clear part of this image that is taken from one and then added
even
to
the
another.
shadows where the edge of the mask are showing where it's exposed. It's like, come on. I mean, Dork Lord has to be some sort of art major or have taken classes.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, so Dork Lord, I think you hit us up on the original IG post when we tagged you for the top 5. But if you're listening to this, like, how did you do this?
Yes.
Is this obviously this is digital manipulation of some kind, but like this is almost the best mashup of two images that you could ever imagine.
What is your magic here? Like who do you subscribe to? Are you a devil worshiper? Like, what is this stuff? Yeah, I don't even know how you. I mean, this to me is like some sort of itchy witchy cat's ass, like hocus pocus.
Yeah, this is. I mean, like you said, this is
like quick change. He's like just jammed their heads together and it somehow ended up like that.
Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful shot, and like you mentioned, it harkens back to that fight where Ahsoka finally realizes, like, holy shit, this is Anakin.
I think she knew deep down, but
yeah.
Once she got that visual confirmation, you could see that it just killed her.
Yeah, it was.
And it hurt him too. I mean, he could, as angry as he was still trying to be, you could tell.
There was still humanity in
right.
there.
When he saw her with his own eyes and realized that she now knew it, I think it affected him. We all knew deep down that Anakin was a very sad man.
Yeah,
in his electronic husk. He was not a happy guy, but that's also what made him so fucking powerful.
Yeah.
Because he just turned that sadness into hate and suffering.
And yeah, just beautiful. So it's a beautiful composition here by @DorkLord Collectibles. I mean, blew it out the fucking water. Yeah. So if we move on to the next
science going on in that shot, I can't figure it out.
Yeah, it's just like it's magic. It's not even real digital manipulation. The guy's just a magician.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a shot of a figure that we rarely ever see. I mean, for those of you who played the Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Dark Lords, you know this character, Darth Nihilus. For those of you who play Swago, Darth Nihilus is also included in there.
Yeah,
but like,
man. One-shot killer. I love that guy.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's still in my arena team. He's like
very
the
powerful. One Punch Man. I don't even know who the fuck One Punch Man is, but that's what I always think about when you get that power fired up for him, because it's literally, unless you're going against a raid boss, that once you get his one punch,
it's over.
It's fucking one punch. I mean, it's straight up one punch.
Exactly. Like if you can survive long enough to get the Annihilate off, you're like, okay, now this is winnable. Like this is winnable no matter what. But so we have a Darth Nihilus here,
right?
And this is
from
done by
301.
Yeah,
and I
301.
believe this is a custom to boot, Nick.
That's what I was gonna say. So, like you said, in the Star Wars time caption, boy, we need a 6-inch Darth Nihilus after seeing the shot from 301. So, like, what do you think was done here to kind of create this figure that we see?
Bro, I'm always amazed by the custom toy space. I mean, I know a few casts ago we were talking about the bootleg stuff. I guess you could call these bootlegs, but a whole different type. It's literally fans make molds for the head. Like, I would assume this head here, Nick, they had to make a mold from something, or literally just sculpted it out and then started making molds from the sculpt. The body's probably a mashup of other 1/12 scale figures. I don't even know if there probably are Star Wars figures. I mean, there could be Darth Vader arms on there, maybe Kylo Ren body, Luke body. I don't know. I mean, it's very impressive. It even looks like a soft goods cape.
Yeah, it does.
The hood looks plastic molded, but I mean, overall, looking at this, unless I told you, you wouldn't know that this was probably made by some dude in a shed or in his house, in his craft room, his light room, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is just fantastic work. And I mean, I really do, like, Gree, if you're listening again, let us know how you did this, because this is a fantastic, not only shot, because if we look at the shot, obviously you have Darth Nihilus as the central figure, but it's the atmosphere, it's raining, and then you get the smoke coming off of the lightsaber, showing where the water is hitting the saber, causing these smoke trails to come up. I mean, the figure itself is impressive, but also the composition of the shot and just like the way that it captures like the visceral nature of the lightsaber. And
Gree always has some pretty action-oriented shots. As you said, good atmosphere. It uses practical effects sometimes. Can't tell here if these are all practical. I'm assuming some of them are digital, such as the smoke trails on the lightsaber.
Yeah.
The rain very easily could be a spray bottle or even just dust kicked up to make it look like that.
Yeah.
It's a badass shot. Like I said, I want this fucking figure. I mean, bring it on. Why not? We got a Revan figure officially.
Yeah. You just
let's get into this guy. I mean, I would take a Traya too. I would take a Scion. Let's get the triumvirate going.
Yeah. The whole triumvirate, the whole Old Republic triumvirate. I mean, like if you want, here's a tip for you, Hasbro, with your Black Series line. You want to blow it out the water. You want people to go nuts. Release an Old Republic line. Like release a line that's
Malik,
got
Bastilla,
like all of the dark side
Jolie.
figures, all of the light side figures. I mean, come on, this is a no-brainer.
Well, it's like you and I, we've been with these guys for a while now because of how heavily they're used in SWGO. But I mean, it's like I know Old Republic characters better now than I did when I played the games.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because I got to farm their dumbasses every single day.
I know.
Juhani, Karth, Canderous.
Yeah.
Then you had to get these assholes through the raids. I mean,
T3.
Darth Nihilus was a bitch farm. Scion's a bitch farm. Traya is a raid reward.
Yeah, I know.
But they're great. I mean, and obviously I think they'd make great figures, as Gree is showing us with his custom Nihilus here. But great shot, great figure, great effects. It's a trifecta.
It is. It's beautiful. Next up, I always love when I can feature Legos, especially Legos like fucking this one here. And this is from an Instagram account. It's not a name. It's just a series of numbers. So it's at 030079AR. That's the Instagram handle. And this shit looks like it literally came out of a Lego movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that's what 030079R, we'll just call him 03 for now. I mean, he kind of specializes in these super action heavy stylized Lego shots. And what he's been doing now, I don't know if you've ever gone just check out his account, Nick, but he's now uploading a lot of his process. So he'll give you the finished shot, which we see here, but then he'll upload the original. And a lot of times, Nick, when you look at the original, you're like, holy fuck, this guy is a digital master. I mean, he's kind of like Dork Lord here.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, the raw original shot is just some Legos on sticks.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like there's no debris, no lights, no laser bolts. And then he kind of shows each pass that he makes with the effects. So the toning and atmosphere gets added. The explosions get added. The blasters, and then finally visors and final finishing. So I love that 03's starting to add more of this process, but always in the end, he can take what looks like a plain shot without the effects and really turn it into, as Nick said, a cinematic-looking piece of art.
Yeah, I mean, it really just stands out, too, because, like you said, all of the cinematic effects that he adds in, the layering, the coloring, but then also when you see that in conjunction with a Lego figure, like we've seen so many times from others who have been featured on the top 5. I mean, Lego Star Wars Tong is one of the ones that we've talked about recently. And, there's a ton of fantastic Lego photographers out there. I mean, this is just taking it to the cinematic level, like I said. And, man, it's just so cool to see what was essentially a half-inch tall figure look as badass as it does. I mean, it's just really fucking cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, their arms move up and down, their legs move forward and back, and their heads turn sideways. That's about it. But 03 always manages to make them look like they're alive and typically kicking a ton of ass.
Yeah. So fantastic work here at 030079AR.
ABCD. EFG.
Oh yeah. So all of these are linked in the top 5 posts on StarWarsTime.net as well. So if you're following along, you don't remember that string of numbers and letters, just go to the top 5 posts on Star Wars Time and then click that little link to their
phone home.
Yeah. Next up, I'm a fan of troopers. This last shot here was a trooper, Lego trooper. Next shot we have here is clone troopers. This Rex. I'm always real bad at the fucking clone.
No, these are actually, Nick, these are also custom figures, and they're custom ARC troopers.
ARC troopers. Okay,
right.
Here we go.
So there's a guy out there, his name's Dean at DTG_figures. He makes some insane custom figures, specifically a lot of gnarly looking troopers. So
yeah,
that's what Josh is shooting here, but it's an awesome... I initially picked the shot because I like the pose.
Yeah.
I like that it's not super flashy. It looks like there's just some atmosphere aerosol going on here. It's just a fun pose. I mean, you didn't really need wires or anything, but he's got this ARC trooper choking out a droid kind of questioning him.
Yeah.
But really, it's just the figures drew me in. And just looking at the custom details, I mean, I can tell as you were leaning towards, I mean, a lot of the build on these custom ARC troopers are stemming from the Rex figure himself.
Yeah, and I mean...
The soft goods here, you can tell he's wrapping them around the legs. That's Rex's skirt. The shoulder pauldrons are Rex's. The little helmet antenna thing, that comes from Rex. The helmets look like they come from just a standard version 3 clone trooper. The backpacks, I have no idea. Those may be custom molds, but yeah, just great stuff.
Yeah, so this is from at Josh DeLeff.
Yeah, that's the photographer, and then the custom figures come from at DTG Figures.
And also, Josh, what I think you might have here is the most likes ever on a Star Wars Time show Instagram.
That's crazy. Share. So yeah, Josh wins the award. I mean, it just goes to show you how fucking crazy Instagram's algorithm truly is.
Yeah, I mean, this is usually at this point in our Instagram, life, we're getting you guys upwards of 100, 120, 130, crossing the 150 every now and then. Josh DeLeff with this shot here got 287 likes on the Star Wars Time show share.
People out there like them some custom ARC troopers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful shot, and like you mentioned, so just a simple composition with the atmosphere aerosol and then the 2 ARC Trooper custom figures outside, one holding up the B-1 battle droid, and it is a very fantastic pose that Josh put together here. I mean, you can see the way that the helmet is created, and the way that the helmet looks just has a menacing look about its face, but the way that it's positioned, and then the gun also, positioning the hand with that blaster kind of pointing up at the battle droid, and then his original caption, where's Grievous? Fantastic posing, fantastic everything done really here by at Josh DeLeff on Instagram.
Yeah, I dig it. It's my style. That's how I roll. I'm trying to get a little more action oriented, but sometimes I just overthink it and fuck it up. So it's like I'm just gonna get back to my simple, just pose them naturally, take a shot, try to capture some sort of scene or feeling, and that's when you've taken a good shot. When you look at a shot and you feel a scene, or you can feel the emotion of the scene. Like when you look at Josh's shot here, I can feel this trooper yelling, "Where's Grievous?" You can tell he's pissed. You can tell the droid's uncomfortable. So I dig it.
Yeah. So final member of the top 5 here goes to I think it's Roble Scott. So I think it's his last name plus his first name.
Yeah. We'll go
and
with that.
What I really enjoy
about Scott.
Robles, something like that. What I really enjoy about this shot is that we get to see one. I think that's IG-88 there. I'm not sure if this is just another, assassin.
It's 88. I know in Mandalorian it's not 88, and we've said it's 88. I believe that one's going to be 86 or something like that, or another number. But either way, this is 88.
Yeah. So I mean, we get to see a fantastic IG-88, and then also what really makes this shot pop is the charred and destroyed corpse of a fucking stormtrooper that we see laying at his feet. And then you add in the the setting that we're in here, it looks like we're almost in like a Tatooine style back alley. Like IG just found this fucking trooper and just destroyed him in the alley.
Yeah, he looks like, I think this is a Minbom trooper based on the look, and he's wearing a cape. So
Yeah.
he was naturally kind of dirty looking anyways, but it does. I mean, it's basically like a crime scene here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a murder bot crime scene.
Yeah, I mean, IG, I don't know if this guy had a hit out on him because we know that IG is an assassin droid. He's a bounty hunter. But this shot, it really does just have this, like, this feels like some shit that I could see in The Mandalorian. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like this could be a scene
exactly. I mean, that's 100% Mando type of scenery right there.
Yeah, so it really does just kind of pop. It's very simple in terms of, you know, the posing and the composition here, because you have IG that's standing there in a pretty, you know, not like an action oriented or like a menacing pose, but you know what that character can do, and then you see like this dead stormtrooper that's essentially just slumped against the wall, and IG's just kind of looking over his corpse. So I thought that was a really just fantastic job of
Kill
capturing
confirmed.
that. Yeah,
I really like the lighting in this. That's what drew me to it, where it's very kind of pronounced to signify that 88's in a doorway of some sort.
yeah,
And then it just splashes a little bit on one of his sides of his dome face, and then you kind of get the light splash on the window and the textures of this alley or building they're in. I love lighting. Good lighting can do so much for a picture.
yeah. We see that with
And this
one.
definitely, and even with the lighting's one thing, but you get that just faint hint of atmosphere. It really, really sells a shot. And I have finally, I don't know if I told this on the last one, but my mom was bothering me. Hey, what do you want for your birthday? You know, I'm going to be 39. I don't really ask for gifts anymore. It seems weird. But most, you know, I mean, your mom especially, they can't help themselves. And it's great. I'm not complaining. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I've been wanting to try it. I just haven't felt like buying it myself. So I was like, get me a case of atmosphere aerosol.
There you
So
go.
I now have it in hand. I haven't broken it out yet because I had that marathon weekend sessions a few weeks back, so I'm kind of burnt out again. But you never know. I'm also a Ready Sets influencer now, and that just showed up. So now I have to start doing some shots with that stuff. So
Nice.
We'll see. But Roble Scott here, Robles Scott, whatever your name is, you can definitely take some kick-ass Star Wars shots. You're on the radar. You have been. And I'm glad Nick kind of snagged you here for the top 5, because this was a very, it's just a great looking scene. I mean, a very gritty looking, lifelike feeling Star Wars shot.
Absolutely.
All right, my friends. So that kind of ends this first ever recording on a Monday type of former Friday show, and I think it went well. I think it went pretty good. We had a little bit of a technical issue that you guys will never know about, but Nick and I had to deal with. We had some wee woos going on and some beep boops, but we got it solved. Nick plugged R2 into the hypercomputer, so you know what you need to do now. It's that time of the show where we got to say goodbye. I know it's sad. It's sad. We got to say goodbye to our buddies like Jesse and Jared and the rest of you people that interact with us now. Papa Palpatine and his brother. Remember the clone troopers. See, we've got a following now, my friends. So if you want to get on this train, what you need to do is go to StarWarsTime.net. And just, if you're on a desktop, look in the top right. There's a subscribe to podcast link. That's all you need to click on. You go there. You get all the platforms we're on. And we are on all the platforms. I don't want to hear any bitching. And if those aren't good enough for you, you can also get us on YouTube, which you can find on StarWarsTime.net as well. And once you get there, we cannot tell you how important it is to subscribe, like, rate, and review every single episode. All right? I know you can't review every episode on iTunes, but rate, like, do what you got to do. It helps us immensely in the search engine optimization game for our podcasts. You know, so when people type in the best Star Wars podcasts, the more likes, the more rates, the more reviews, Star Wars Time will start lifting above the rest of the crap, right? Make us oil in water and let us rise to the top of the Star Wars podcast kingdom. You know you want to do it. And yes, my fingers were waving, so you just got hit with a Jedi mind trick. All right, people, until next time, may the Force be with you always.